Imagine this. You're sitting in a dark room, the faint hum of a computer screen casting a cold glow on your face. Your fingers hover over the keyboard, the cursor blinking in time with your thoughts. This should be the moment, the one where everything clicks, where the applause comes rushing in, the success, the recognition, all the hours, the effort, the sacrifice. They should feel worth it. But there's a hollow, gnawing emptiness at your core. You look at your reflection on the screen, faint and distorted, and a thought creeps into your mind. What am I actually doing? This is the moment where many great achievements live, between the triumph and the cost, between the cheering and the silence. The world may see your success, but you know the hidden misery that came with it. What if every great achievement wasn't just earned in sweat and perseverance, but also paid for in silent suffering? A quick glance around tells you that everyone seems to be fine. They celebrate your success with such passion, but none of them ask the question you've been asking yourself for years. At what cost? How much of your soul did you leave behind in the pursuit of this moment? The story of Michael Phelps, the Olympic swimmer, is one that most people know. He's celebrated for winning 23 gold medals, more than any Olympian in history. But what few remember are the countless hours spent in the water, the isolation, the anxiety, the sacrifices he made, and the quiet battles he fought within himself. There's a reason he's spoken openly about his struggles with depression and the toll the pursuit of greatness took on him. But his story isn't the exception, it's the rule. How many others, yourself included, have pushed past their limits, ignoring the red flags, driven by a thirst for success that blinds them to the cracks forming inside? What if greatness wasn't worth it? Or, more hauntingly, what if it's not supposed to be? Wait, what if this hidden misery is actually a part of the process? The tension lingers in the air, suffocating yet strangely familiar. But here's the question that demands an answer. What if you could still achieve without losing yourself in the process? There's a concept that we rarely talk about when discussing success: the price of greatness. It's something that's been acknowledged by thinkers, athletes, artists, and philosophers alike. But it's often buried beneath motivational quotes and success stories. Those stories we consume eagerly without ever questioning the underlying cost. The truth is, we don't talk enough about the suffering that accompanies greatness. In fact, it's almost as if we're conditioned to believe that pain is a necessary evil in the pursuit of success. You've heard it before, haven't you? No pain, no gain. But have you ever really stopped to think about what that statement means? Is it true? And if it is, does it come at a price we're not willing to pay? Psychologist and researcher Angela Duckworth's work on grit sheds some light here. Duckworth defines grit as the blend of passion and perseverance over time. It's the ability to stay focused, to keep going even when the world says it's time to quit. In her book, Grit, The Power of Passion and Perseverance, Duckworth reveals that grit is often the differentiator between those who succeed and those who fail. But here's the catch. Grit often thrives on discomfort. It's cultivated in moments of intense struggle, where giving up seems like the easier option. Duckworth's research highlights the emotional toll that grit requires. While we praise the relentless pursuit of goals, we often fail to mention the deep mental exhaustion that comes with never allowing yourself to stop. You're probably familiar with the feeling, the nagging sense of being on the edge, like a thin thread holding you together. At times it feels as if you're sprinting through life at breakneck speed, chasing something elusive, something you don't quite understand, yet you keep running, because stopping even for a second would feel like failure. We tend to think of greatness as a destination. We see the accolades, the awards, the applause, and we believe that if we just push ourselves a little more, we'll arrive there too. But what we often forget is that greatness is also a constant grind. The deeper you go, the harder it becomes to breathe. In the endless pursuit, the question becomes, what do you lose along the way? Take the artist, for example. Maybe it's the painter who spends years perfecting his craft, only to stand in front of a blank canvas, unsure of what to create next. Or the writer who writes page after page, yet feels no closer to their purpose. Success doesn't come easily for them, and when it does, it feels more like relief than joy. The inner void that many high achievers face isn't discussed because it's uncomfortable to talk about. We don't like to admit that our triumphs can come with a bitter taste. But here's the painful reality. We can't fully appreciate the light without acknowledging the darkness. It's only when we start to ask ourselves the tough questions, what have I given up to get here? What's missing from my life? That we begin to understand the full price of our achievements. And it's when we acknowledge that price that we can make an informed choice. Let's step back for a moment, way back, far beyond the gymnasium of modern success stories or the glowing screens of social media. When we trace the roots of greatness, we land in the fertile soil of philosophy and history, where the tension between achievement and cost has been discussed for centuries. The ancient Greeks were acutely aware of this tension, particularly in their concept of hubris, an overwhelming sense of pride that leads to a downfall. They believed that anyone who rose too high without recognizing their limits was bound to fall. The most famous example? Icarus, who flew too close to the sun with wings made of wax and feathers, only to plummet to his death as the heat melted his wings. The story isn't just about daring to reach for the heavens, it's about the consequence of not knowing when to stop. Greek philosophers like Socrates and Aristotle warned against the unchecked pursuit of glory. Socrates, through his dialogues, often questioned the very nature of success, asking whether the pursuit of external achievements could ever lead to true happiness. His view was that the soul must remain balanced, that inner peace could only be found through the cultivation of virtues rather than the accumulation of material success or fame. The unexamined life is not worth living, he famously said, urging us to look inward, questioning whether external accomplishments truly matter in the grand scheme of existence. Aristotle, while a proponent of arete, the idea of excellence or virtue, also warned about the dangers of extremes. He argued that living a life of excess in pursuit of wealth, power, or recognition would ultimately lead to dissatisfaction. Instead, he advocated for the golden mean, a concept that emphasized balance between extremes. Too much ambition could result in burnout, dissatisfaction, or even moral decay. Aristotle's wisdom still resonates today, especially in a world where many chase an idealized form of success, often neglecting the balance between work, personal life, and self-care. Fast forward to the Renaissance era, where the pursuit of greatness took on a new form, through humanism. Think of Leonardo da Vinci, a genius whose work spanned art, science, and anatomy. Leonardo's legacy is one of immense achievement, but those who study his life often note the isolation, the obsession with perfection, and the toll it took on his personal well-being. Renaissance thinkers like Michelangelo and Raphael painted masterpieces, but also wrestled with their inner demons, unsure if their labor brought them true joy or was simply a means to achieve external glory. The cost was often hidden beneath the awe-inspiring creations, just as today's most celebrated figures, from tech moguls to athletes, conceal the personal battles that underpin their success. But this relationship between greatness and sacrifice isn't exclusive to Western thought. Eastern philosophies, such as Buddhism and Taoism, have long warned against the dangers of attachment to success or worldly recognition. In Taoism, the Tao Te Ching, written by Lao Tzu, speaks of the dangers of striving for too much. It states, "A tree that is unbending is easily broken," reflecting a key tenet of Taoist philosophy, the pursuit of harmony and the avoidance of extremes. Excessive ambition, Taoism teaches, leads to imbalance. The true path is one of simplicity and flow, not the relentless push for victory. Even in modern times, we see this tension reflected in pop culture. Think of the 2014 film Whiplash, where a young jazz drummer, driven to perfection, faces the emotional and physical destruction that comes with chasing greatness at all costs. His pursuit of musical excellence costs him relationships, his health, and ultimately, his peace of mind. The film lays bare the insidious nature of ambition, showing us that what seems like the road to greatness might be the road to ruin. At its core, this historical and philosophical exploration underscores a critical idea. The pursuit of greatness, if unchecked, leads to suffering. Whether it's the tragic fall of Icarus, the warnings of Aristotle, or the silent toll on today's high achievers, the theme remains consistent. Greatness isn't inherently bad, but it often comes at a price we're unwilling to face. We've explored the philosophical and historical roots of greatness, the lofty ideals, the subtle warnings, and the delicate balance between striving for achievement and maintaining inner peace. But now, it's time to confront the uncomfortable truth. We've been sold a narrative that glorifies success, pushing us to believe that happiness follows in its wake. But the truth, the hidden costs of this relentless pursuit, are often buried beneath the shiny surface of accolades and fame. Let's take a deep dive into the neuroscience of achievement. When you push yourself to the limits, working long hours, sacrificing sleep, giving up social connections, your brain enters a state of chronic stress. This isn't the fleeting stress you feel before a big presentation or exam. It's prolonged, grinding tension that triggers the fight or flight response on an ongoing basis. This is the body's natural response to danger, and when it's constantly activated, it starts to take a heavy toll on both your physical and mental health. In the short term, stress might boost your focus or productivity. But over time, it weakens your immune system, elevates your blood pressure, and disrupts your sleep cycles. The toll on your mental health is equally severe. Anxiety, depression, and burnout become constant companions in your journey to greatness. Research from the American Psychological Association suggests that stress is a major contributor to long-term mental health problems. So while you're pushing yourself to achieve more, your mind and body are quietly deteriorating in the background. But the costs don't end there. On a societal level, we've created a culture that glorifies overwork and demonizes rest. Take the modern hustle culture, for example, where taking a break is often seen as a weakness. Just take a moment to scroll through social media, and you'll see countless posts about grinding, hustling, and achieving at all costs. Sleep is for the weak, they say. If you're not working, you're falling behind. Yet this culture promotes a pervasive lie, that success requires sacrifice without limits, that the only path to greatness is through constant effort, no matter the consequences. Here's the kicker. This is unsustainable. The human mind and body are not designed to operate in a constant state of stress. Eventually, the wheels will fall off. In the most extreme cases, this can lead to physical breakdowns or total burnout, a state in which the body and mind give up, leaving you emotionally and physically drained. You might even begin to question whether the sacrifices were ever worth it. You may reach a point where all the success you've accumulated feels empty, hollow, and meaningless. There's a growing body of evidence showing that overachievement doesn't lead to lasting satisfaction. A study by Harvard University found that external rewards like promotions or financial success don't correlate with happiness in the long run. In fact, they often contribute to a sense of emptiness. What happens when you've climbed the ladder of success, only to find that it was leaning against the wrong wall? What happens when you get everything you ever wanted, but it doesn't bring the satisfaction you were promised? Perhaps the most insidious consequence of this relentless pursuit is the emotional toll it takes on your relationships. As you climb higher and higher in your career, as you chase the next big achievement, it's easy to overlook the people who were once your support system. Family and friends become secondary. You convince yourself that you'll reconnect once you've made it. But by the time you reach the peak, those relationships may be irreparably damaged, leaving you with little to show for all your efforts. The isolation you feel can become a silent partner in your success, one that's not celebrated in your Instagram posts or LinkedIn updates. This is where we find the greatest subversion of all. The pursuit of greatness promises external rewards, but it often delivers internal emptiness. The thing you thought would bring you fulfillment, the accolades, the status, the success, ends up being a mirage. It's like chasing a shadow, only to realize that you've lost sight of everything that truly matters along the way. And yet, there's a deeper truth in all this. The very act of striving for greatness, if done blindly, can lead us into a trap. You're so focused on the finish line that you forget to ask yourself, what am I sacrificing along the way? When you're fixated on the prize, it's easy to ignore the silent costs, the relationships, the peace of mind, the sense of self. It's time to break free. The narrative of greatness, one that celebrates sacrifice and glorifies suffering, is deeply entrenched in our society. But what if you've had enough? What if you could choose a different path, one where achievement doesn't come at the cost of your soul, where success doesn't mean exhaustion, and where you own your journey without being owned by it? This isn't some utopian dream. It's a radical rebellion against the culture that demands we sacrifice everything for the sake of external rewards. And it begins with a shift in mindset, in approach, and ultimately, in practice. You can rebel against this distorted version of greatness. You don't have to conform to the hustle culture that never sleeps, or the notion that success is measured solely by productivity and profits. It's time to ask yourself, what if I could still be successful, but on my terms? What if I could achieve without the anxiety, the sleepless nights, and the burnout? Here's how you can start this rebellion step by step. 1. Redefine success on your own terms. This rebellion begins with redefining success. Throw away the societal metrics that tell you success is about money, status, or titles. Instead, define it by what truly matters to you. What brings you joy, satisfaction, and peace? Is it spending more time with your loved ones? Is it finding meaningful work that fuels your creativity and makes you feel alive? Is it learning and growing at your own pace? Start by writing down your own definition of success, one that aligns with your values, not the world's. Reflect on the questions. What would make me feel truly fulfilled, both professionally and personally? How do I want to spend my days? Once you have that definition, check in with it often. Is your journey moving you toward that goal, or are you still chasing someone else's dream? 2. Practice the art of rest and reflection. Next, it's time to embrace the art of rest. If you've been trapped in the hustle, constantly grinding, the idea of rest might seem almost foreign. But rest isn't just a luxury, it's a necessity. Your body and mind require recovery to perform at their best. High-performing athletes understand this implicitly. They don't just train hard, they also recover hard. The same principle applies to all areas of life. Schedule rest into your daily routine. This might mean taking a nap when you're tired, setting boundaries around your work hours, or giving yourself permission to do nothing without guilt. Mindful breaks, deep breathing, and meditation can all help you reconnect with yourself. And if you're unsure where to start, begin with just 10 minutes of silent reflection each day. You'd be amazed at how that pause can change your perspective. Pro tip: if you find yourself feeling guilty about rest, remind yourself that rest isn't indulgence, it's part of the process. You wouldn't expect a car to keep running without refueling, so why do we demand that of ourselves? 3. Embrace small wins and micro-progress. In the rebellion against hustle culture, we need to abandon the idea that success is a giant leap. Instead, it's made up of small wins. These micro-progressions, though often invisible to others, are the fuel for long-term success. The key here is to celebrate progress over perfection. Don't wait until you've completed the entire project or hit that elusive finish line to feel good about your work. Every step forward, no matter how small, is progress. Acknowledge it. Celebrate it. Practical tip: each week, write down 3 small wins you've accomplished. These could be as simple as making a difficult phone call, learning something new, or taking time to care for yourself. As you see these victories accumulate, your sense of accomplishment will grow, and you'll stop looking for fulfillment only in big, dramatic achievements. 4. Build a supportive community. You don't have to go on this journey alone. One of the key aspects of this rebellion is creating a supportive community. People who understand the importance of balance, who are committed to redefining success, and who want to grow alongside you. This isn't about networking for career advancement. It's about finding people who align with your values, who encourage you to rest, reflect, and build sustainable success. Seek out friends, mentors, or colleagues who share your mindset. You can also join communities, online or offline, that prioritize well-being, mental health, and holistic achievement. These relationships will remind you that there's more to life than just hustle, and that true success is found in connection, not isolation. 5. Practice radical self-compassion. Lastly, the rebellion requires you to practice radical self-compassion. In a world that rewards overwork and criticizes rest, it's easy to feel like you're never doing enough. We've internalized the belief that we must constantly push ourselves to be better, to achieve more. But this relentless self-criticism is a roadblock to growth and success. Instead, practice kindness to yourself. When you make a mistake, instead of beating yourself up, say, "I'm doing the best I can, and that's enough." When you fail, see it as an opportunity for growth, not a confirmation of inadequacy. Allow yourself the grace to be human, to struggle, and to rest. Give yourself permission to be imperfect. Step by step. Each day, try to say something kind to yourself. This could be a simple affirmation like, "I am enough," or "I am worthy of rest and success." Begin building a habit of self-love that challenges the harsh inner critic. The rebellion against toxic achievement is not about rejecting success altogether. It's about realizing that you can have both, greatness and peace. You can be successful without burning out, fulfilled without sacrificing yourself, and content without chasing after external validation. It's about choosing a path that nourishes you, not drains you. As we wrap up this journey, remember that the rebellion doesn't happen overnight. It's a process, a practice that takes time. But every small step counts. You have the power to create a version of greatness that aligns with your soul, that nurtures your body, and that honors your relationships. Now it's up to you to step into that version of success. It's your time to rewrite the story. And now, we arrive at the truth that ties it all together. The truth that you've been subconsciously yearning for. The truth that lies beneath every great achievement, every grand vision, and every dream you've chased. What if greatness isn't a destination? What if it's not about reaching the summit, but about how you climb, how you exist and experience the process along the way? In every story of remarkable achievement, there's a hidden thread, the constant pull between sacrifice and fulfillment. Yes, the greatest achievers in history have undergone unimaginable struggles, but here's the kicker. They've also found peace in the struggle. The truth is, the people we idolize didn't just endure hardship, they transformed it. They turned suffering into wisdom and discomfort into growth. They didn't fight against their struggles, they embraced them, making them an essential part of the journey. But, and this is critical, they didn't burn themselves out in the process. Here's the ultimate truth. You can have it all, but not at the cost of your humanity. The real achievement is how you live while achieving, how you treat yourself, how you find joy amidst the grind, how you create a narrative of success that celebrates both your accomplishments and your well-being. You see, success without this balance is hollow. Greatness without harmony will eventually devour the very thing it seeks to build. And as we've discovered, it's not the external accolades that bring true fulfillment. It's the journey, the everyday practice, the ability to remain grounded while moving forward. So what does that mean for you? It means reclaiming your power. It means understanding that your achievements do not define your worth. They are simply a reflection of the choices you make. It means choosing balance over burnout, purpose over productivity, and fulfillment over fame. In the face of pressure, it's okay to say no. In the face of competition, it's okay to step back and focus on your own path. In the face of success, it's okay to rest and reflect. Because the journey is yours, and it is enough as it is. So here's the invitation right now, today, to rewrite the narrative of greatness. What if, instead of burning yourself out to achieve the impossible, you focused on crafting a life where greatness is achieved through balance, through reflection, and through intentional growth? What if you gave yourself permission to rest, to fail, and to grow without guilt? What if the struggle was not an obstacle, but a doorway to greater wisdom and strength? I invite you to take the first step. Redefine your success. Honor your journey and choose growth over exhaustion, joy over fear, and peace over endless striving. It's not about how much you do. It's about how deeply you engage with what you do and how connected you feel to the life you're living. Reflect now and ask yourself, what is my vision of success? What does greatness look like to me? You are the architect of your story. You have the power to write a new narrative, one where you are at peace with your journey, even as you climb higher. The gold crack you saw in the beginning? It's the crack that makes the light shine through. You are the gold. Thanks for watching. We're all on this journey together. And I'm grateful to have you here, taking the first steps toward redefining what greatness really means. See you next time.